Thank you very much indeed for everybody for joining today. My name is Omar Iqbal, and I'm here with my brother Mo Iqbal, who's just off camera here in front of the demonstration camera. And we're from Taira Technology Limited. And so we've been invited by TAVIP just to do a brief talk on what the BlindShell is and a bit about the features, and then just having a general chit chat about the phone if anybody's got any questions. So before we go into the demonstration, do a quick talk, I just thought we'd do a quick introduction, explain about who we are. So at Taira Technology, we provide products, services, advice and training to blind and visually impaired people, both here in the UK and internationally as well. And I want to talk about our background and why we got started, because I feel like it's important. So Taira Tech is a family-run business, and the journey really started when Mo lost his sight shortly after he was born. And growing up, I saw how difficult it was for him as a completely blind person to use technology. And so whenever he needed help or had problems with his equipment, we both worked together to resolve the issues that we faced when it comes to using different pieces of assistive tech. And this then led us to helping people that we knew on list or from school, for some St. Vincent's, R&C. And, you know, as word spread and people started to learn a bit about what we do, and while I was studying at university, with the support of our mum, who's called Taira, that's where the name comes from, we set up the business. And a few people ask why we named the business after Taira. It's really without her help and expertise, you know, and support, the business wouldn't exist really. And you know, it's quite a unique name as well. So
yeah, he really encouraged her.
Yeah,
you know, all her life she's held managerial positions and jobs where, you know, she's had a big part to play in growing businesses, and you know, she's got very high standards, and that reflects on us really, and the way the business is being run.
Yeah, definitely. So talk a little bit about the BlindShell fraud then in particular. I mean, we could do a brief introduction into smartphones in general.
Yeah, I mean, we'll spend a couple of minutes talking about that initially. Now, some of you may have heard phones by other manufacturers, for example, like Smart Vision. There's a company called Capsies who make phones with buttons on, but they are a little bit more complex. They're running Android. And the reason why I'm mentioning them is because on those phones, you can actually install any app that you want, but it makes the phone a lot more complex to use. So it causes the phone to crash at times if you overload it with apps, or if an app's misbehaving, then on Android, not all apps are accessible or equal.
Yeah.
So a lot of people go for the BlindShell because the BlindShell is targeted for those people who want a replacement to the old style Nokia phones that a lot of you may have experienced or encountered, you know, over the years.
Yeah,
because they were very popular with blind people because they ran Talks or Mobile Speak, which were both screen readers, and they allowed you to install apps on the Nokia phones, and you had full speech access. You know, my first phone I bought in 2004, and it was just so liberating to have something which is, you know, which was fully speech enabled.
yeah.
But now the problem that we have is that a lot of UK companies are turning off something called 3G. And 3G is an old technology which is used to transmit mobile phone signals, and they're turning it off. So you need to have a phone which is 4G capable, and the BlindShell is 4G capable. And what's made them so popular is the fact they're really simple to use. They do not have a touchscreen like the Capsies does, for example, or the iPhone. So because it's controlled exclusively with buttons, that's what really sets this phone apart. That's why a lot of people buy it. And a lot of our customers, we find they have other devices like iPhones, for example, but they find that, you know, when they're out and about, or when they're calling the bank or an automated telephone service, they can't, you know, easily press the digits on screen. If you have to input your card details or press 1 for this, 2 for that, they can't access the menus easily, you know, on the iPhone or a touchscreen device. So the BlindShell aims to bridge the gap between having a touchscreen smartphone, if you like, where you can put whatever you want on it, and a basic smartphone that doesn't have any, you know, advanced features. So over the years, BlindShell have actually been improving the phone a lot. You know, there's been 2 generations, or the second generation now, so that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. So the first one was called the Classic one.
So the first one was called the BlindShell Classic.
Yeah.
As Omar said.
And today's the Classic 2. And it's a fantastic button phone. Like Mo said, it's great for people who are beginners and looking just to, get started with, it's like Mo said, something in between something basic and something advanced. So I'm going to switch over to the demonstration camera now. So the screen may change for a moment for those people who are looking at the screen, but don't worry, we're not going to rely on any visual output. Everything will be described audibly as well. So I'm just going to switch over to the camera.
No worries. While Omar's doing that, I'll just start describing what the phone's like physically for those people that, obviously can't see the picture on the screen. So in terms of dimensions, people often wonder, how does it compare to the old Nokia? It's 13 centimeters long by 5.5 centimeters wide by 1.5 centimeters thick. So it's not a bulky phone. It's not the most slimline phone in the world, but it's not the most bulky phone that I've seen in the world either. The older Nokia phones, some of them were a lot bulkier than this thing is. So it's a nice in-between size. It's nice and ergonomic to hold. All the functions of this phone are read out using a screen reader, and we're going to demonstrate this fully in a minute. We've got a mixer and the BlindShell's plugged directly into it, so you'll be able to hear it very clearly what it sounds like. But the phone basically has a screen reader on there. All the buttons have different markings. This is one thing that a lot of people appreciate. So if I can just describe it, you've got a screen at the top with the earpiece, and then below the screen.
So what I'll do, I'll just zoom
let's
in
move the
here.
phone slightly. There we go. Let's zoom in.
At the
So
top
at the
here.
top, you've got the screen, and with the earpiece, and below the screen, you've got your keypad. Let's move it slightly this way a bit so it's on screen. And I'll just describe the buttons on the front, then we'll describe what's on the back as well. So the two buttons at the very top have small dots on them. The top left-hand button is your status button, so you go in there to check your battery level and the network strength, Wi-Fi strength, etc. The button on the top right, which has another small round dot, is the repeat button. The two buttons in the middle with long markings on them, they've got long horizontal markings. Those are actually up and down arrows. So you use those to navigate through your menus. And then you've got a button above number 1, which is green in color with a big circular marking on it. And that one is confirm, or the enter key. It depends how you want to
or answer, yeah.
Or answer a call, for example. And the one on the right is red in color, and it's got a diagonal marking on it. So it's very distinct to find. That one's just above the number 3 key, and that one's call, end, and cancel. So essentially, when you're operating the phone, you're just going up and down through the menus with the two middle buttons, and then you press either confirm or cancel to make your choice. And below the buttons at the top is a normal numerical keypad. So buttons 1 to 0, star and hash.
Yeah.
And on the back of the phone, it's not very exciting, but it just has a camera, and it also has a button on the back just below the camera. It's round with an indent, so it's very easy to find. And that button is used to trigger an SOS call. So you can actually assign somebody's number to that button. If you can't find a button on the keypad and you need to dial a number in a hurry, in an emergency, you press and hold that button and it will dial the number. The camera is just above it.
Yeah. Along the side here, we have the volume rocker, which is a long black key.
That's on the left-hand side.
On the left-hand side,
Yeah.
sorry. And that's just this long black key here. And on the opposite side of the phone. So just on the side here, like I said, we have an action key, and that's used to jump to your list of favorite applications. So that's a quick overview of the phone. I'll just hand over to Mo here.
That's fine. Yeah,
explain
I'll talk a bit about the functions while you're researching for Kate. So what we'll do first of all is we'll describe what the phone actually does in terms of features, then we'll demonstrate them. So in terms of the call functions on the phone, you can make and receive calls. That would be pretty fundamental to any phone, I would have thought. You can actually send and receive texts, which is, again, quite fundamental. And you can save your contacts, preferred contacts, in an easily laid out contact book. So when you store a contact, it will ask for things like first name, last name, mobile phone number, home address, email address, that kind, all the usual things that you would expect. You've also got an alarm clock function where you can set one alarm or multiple daily alarms. You've also got a minute timer with a stopwatch, so you can either do count up or count down. You have a built-in calendar, so you can track your events. or upcoming appointments. And you can also do notes as well in voice form or text form. Let's see, what else do we have? We have an accessible calculator, and that is very easy to use. It just uses the keypad. It's not a complicated scientific one or anything like that. It's just got basic calculator for basic calculations.
Yeah.
Speed dial, we've already covered that in brief, but you can store up to 10 speed dials on here. So numbers 1 to 0, and well, 11 if you count the SOS button on the back. So in terms of advanced functions, you can check your emails, and you can actually add multiple email accounts on there as well. It used to just be restricted to one, but now you can put multiple accounts on there, which is quite nice. And it's a lovely, straightforward layout. When you go into the email app and you select the account, you've got very simple options. New email, inbox, sent, trash, etc. So it's a really simple layout that you have. And also, there's a web browser, so you can go on the internet. You can go on Google or any website of your choice, basically, as long as it's accessible. You've also got a weather app, so you can search for different cities and pinpoint your location and the weather in your location. Color detector, so that's quite useful. I'm not sure how accurate it will be. It depends a lot on lighting, but the color detection function actually allows you to see what color clothes are, what color people are, I suppose, anything really. You sort of point and hope that it gets the color right. It's called me orange in the past. I don't think I'm orange, but it leaves a bit to be desired at times. You've got a book reader, which allows you to listen to text files that you can download from Project Gutenberg. And there's also a document reader where you can actually copy documents onto your phone, PDF documents, HTML documents, etc., and it'll read those out to you. You also have a music player, so that's used for playing back audiobooks or any albums that you've got on the phone. So you copy those onto your SD card or whatever, and it will play those back to you. An FM radio and internet radio, those two are very interesting because the FM radio gives you access to local stations, and the internet radio allows you access to worldwide stations. So you can tune into the BBC stations that are currently, people can't access on other devices. I believe BlindShell have got the majority of streams working. I don't know if they're all working on there yet, but certainly the main ones are. You can turn the phone into a torch as well. So on the top edge, I don't know if we showed this earlier, on the top edge, there's a headphone jack, which we're currently using. Those of you who've got some sight, there's a wire plugged in at the top of this phone. We've got the headphone jack. We're using it for connection to our mixer, but next to that on the right is an oval glass section, which is where the torch is. So when you turn the torch on, it comes on, and it's nice as an emergency backup, just in case somebody is partially sighted and maybe they've dropped something, or it's dark, they need a bit of light. People are quite complimentary about that function. And it's also got voice dictation. Now, when we talk about voice dictation, it's not entirely accurate which voice system is, but you can do basic things like you can tell it to send a text, for example, or call somebody. You can type into a text box using your voice. You can't do things like, tell me when Elvis Presley died or whatever. You can't ask it questions. It's not too intelligent. But for basic phone control functions, the voice function is absolutely fine. And as long as you haven't got too much of a pronounced accent, it should be able to understand you. It gets a bit confused with accents. It even doesn't understand me sometimes, but maybe I'm not speaking clearly. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not it's not a bad thing at all, really.
No, I think as well your environment takes into account, if you're on a bus, for example, versus at home in a quiet room, that can affect it as well. So it's just taking that with a pinch of salt. But otherwise, it's quite good, when you speak clearly and accurately into it. And some of the other things as well, it has a myriad of different third-party apps. So just to finalize what Mo was saying, you have a unit converter and a number of different games that are available, things like Hangman, Dice Roller, memory games, etc. But one of the biggest selling points and one of the things that makes it stand out from the Classic one is the fact that it's now got support for third-party apps. So I'll briefly whip through all these different apps that are available. And if you've got any specific questions about these apps, let us know at the end. So it has support for YouTube, so you can watch and listen to YouTube videos. It has support for Telegram messaging, which is similar to WhatsApp. So you can send and receive text messages and voice messages and that kind of thing. It has support for WhatsApp, so you can make and receive video and voice calls and send text messages and receive text messages. You've got Amazon Shopping and the Amazon Shopping app. You have access to Be My Eyes. For those people who don't know, Be My Eyes is a fantastic service. It's completely free of charge, and you're able to essentially get sighted assistance by getting a volunteer from anywhere around the world to connect to your phone's camera, and you can ask them for help. So, for example, people have used it while shopping, picking out clothing, sorting out technical support issues, that kind of thing. And it's really good if you just want a pair of eyes to do a fairly basic task. We also have Facebook Messenger Lite to send and receive messages via the Facebook platform. Google Lookout, which we'll most likely demonstrate later on, but it is a fantastic piece of software. You can use it to recognize objects around you, read documents, identify different food items. So we'll move on to that. We've got a few items to hand here just to demonstrate that soon. So in the meantime, we'll talk about the other apps. So you have Shazam, which is like a music recognition app. So when you're in a supermarket and a song plays, it can tell you what song's playing and what the name of the song is. You have access to Skype Lite Messenger to make and receive calls via Skype and to send and receive text messages as well. A podcast app, so you can listen to podcasts all around the world. You've got access to Zoom, which is the app that we're using now to communicate with you guys with. You have Audible support. So Audible is an audiobook service by Amazon where you can purchase audiobooks and you can listen to them back on the BlindShell. And recently you've had support for talking newspapers. So that gives you access to I think it's the majority, if not all the talking newspapers that are available.
I think it's the local newspaper service,
yeah,
that a lot of councils run and charities.
Yeah, that was released fairly recently. I've not had a chance personally to test that out, but people have said quite good things about that. And BBC Sound. So BBC Sound gives you access to two things. Firstly, you've got access to all the live streams. So, BBC World Service, Radio 4, Radio 1, etc. So you can listen to those in real time, but you can also catch up with the catalogue of various programs that are available on BBC Sounds. And so that in a nutshell is all the apps that are available on the BlindShell Classic 2. And it's worth noting that apps are being added all the time. And if you're looking for a specific app and you think, God, it's not listed, you can contact us or BlindShell directly. And more often than not, they can take that feedback on board and add it at a later date. Particularly with BBC Sounds, that's something that we've really campaigned for, and they've added that recently. And they're quite careful as well. They make sure to test the apps thoroughly for accessibility before adding them, which is why you don't have access to every app. Because like Mo said earlier in the presentation, the CAPC Smart Vision range gives you access to all the apps, but not all of them are accessible. And so BlindShell have taken quite a conservative approach, only allowing those apps that are accessible with the BlindShell to be on the catalog. So now I'm going to switch over to Mo, and he'll do a demonstration of the handset briefly. So you'll hear the text-to-speech voice in conjunction with what Mo's saying. So I'll hand over to you, Mo.
Okay, no worries. So what I'll do first of all is I'll show people around the main menu, and we'll go into a couple of options just to show people what the layout is. And I'll also demonstrate the different voices as well, because I know that's a question that we get asked a lot. What voices do I have on this phone? So we'll do the menu first. So when you press the button, it wakes the phone up. Hopefully this should come through okay.
13 new notifications, 8:02 p.m.
So what the phone does is, first of all, is it tells you the time and how many notifications you've got. So I haven't checked mine on this demo handset for a while, so we'll ignore those for the time being. But the notifications mean that if for example, the phone has new apps available, or there are updates, or you've received text messages, that's what the notifications are referring to. So you can check what those are in the status section that I mentioned earlier. So if you press the down arrow, it goes into the main menu.
Call 1 of 7.
And the phone is very verbose, because what it does is it actually tells you as you go along how many options there are. So it says call 1 of 7, and if we go down, it will say messages.
Messages, 2 of 7.
So somebody, it's very obvious to somebody, there's 7 options here. So I'll go through the rest of these.
Contacts, 3 of 7. Applications, 4 of 7. Settings, 5 of 7. Manual, 6 of 7. Turn off the phone, 7 of 7.
So it's a very straightforward menu. Everything is extremely obvious, and they've put calls, messages, and contacts front and center at the top. So there's no wasting time going into submenus. If we want to go into calls, we can either press the number 1 to get straight down because it was the first option,
Call, 1 of 7.
or we can just press up and down arrows to get there. So if I press confirm on that,
Dial contact, 1 of 5.
dial contact. So that brings up a list of all the people in your phone book, and you can choose one to a number to dial from there.
Dial number, 2 of 5.
Dial a number. So that one is a function where you can directly dial somebody's number. You can also type in a phone directly from the main screen. You don't need to come into this menu to do that. If you just start dialing a number, it will instantly start typing the person's number, and then you can just press call and that's it. Like using a normal telephone, when you pick a phone up and you start dialing.
Call history, 3 of 5.
Call history, self-explanatory. It's where your missed calls are, your dialed numbers, received calls, etc.
Call statistics, 4 of 5.
Tells you how long you've been on the phone, probably too long in my case.
Blocked numbers, 5 of 5.
Blocked numbers, that's a useful function. So if somebody's annoying you, you can block them. Like telemarketers, for example. And what the phone does, Zoom doesn't transmit this very well, but what the phone does is it actually beeps when you get to the last list item. It doesn't transmit it because Zoom's audio processing doesn't transmit high-pitched sounds. It's quite annoying, actually. Oh yeah, sorry, something else we forgot to mention. This phone actually uses USB-C for charging. So again, that's a very common connector that's used on a lot of phones these days.
Yeah.
So, because you've got access to the standard headphone jack and the USB-C port, it opens up a lot more possibilities for, if you left your charging wire behind, somebody else probably has one. So let's go back.
Call, 1 of 7.
And I'll show you around the messages and the contacts menus, and then we'll have a look at the voices. And then after that, we'll demonstrate maybe Google Lookout and YouTube. So let's go down to messages.
Messages, 2 of 7.
And what people will notice is that BlindShell have kept quite a consistent layout across the apps. That's why I'm going into these 3 apps first, so you can get an idea of how they've laid them out. So messages contains...
Write SMS to contact, 1 of 6.
So write SMS to contact. That would enable you to pick somebody from your phone book and text them.
Write SMS to number, 2 of 6.
That enables you to send a message to somebody's number as opposed to somebody in your phone book.
Write SMS to multiple recipients, 3 of 6.
That one's self-explanatory. You can send a message to more than one person.
Conversations, 4 of 6.
Conversations, that section lists everybody who you've been talking to and who's been talking to you. So, text that you've received and sent. If you go in there, for example, it will give you an option. The first option might be Jeff. And if you go into the Jeff option, it might say, message from Jeff, how are you? And if you go down, it will say things like, message from Mo, I am fine, thanks. Do you know what I mean? So it will display the thread for that person that you've clicked on. So it's a nice, very nice, simple layout. All modern Android phones display it in that style. Let's keep going down.
Drafts, 5 of 6.
Drafts, that one is a useful function. If you haven't finished with a message, it will end up in that section and you can finish it off later. So just like when you write a draft email.
Messaging settings, 6 of 6.
Messaging settings, that one allows you to turn off delivery reports or turn them on. So you can confirm when a message has actually been delivered to the person who you're sending it to. And there's also support for international characters in there as well. So they've got various settings to do with messaging in that menu. Let's go back.
Messages, 2 of 7.
Let's go into contacts.
Contacts list, 1 of 6.
Okay, so the first option here is contacts list, and that brings up a nice alphabetical list. You can arrange contacts either by first name or surname, so it'll sort them for you. And the way the contact list works is when you press select on a person's name, you've got various options. You can dial their number, you can send them a text, just like the old Nokia's had. You can delete the contact, edit the contact, assign a ringtone to that person. So all the common functions have actually been taken care of quite, fluidly by BlindShell. They've thought of most of the common stuff that people would want to do, really, and they've implemented it. Let's go down.
Add new contact, 2 of 6.
So add new contact. I'll show this one briefly, but When you go into add new contact, it will ask for the following details. I'll arrow through them. I won't explain each one because a lot of them are self-explanatory.
First name, 1 of 9. Surname, 2 of 9. Mobile, 3 of 9. Home, 4 of 9. Work, 5 of 9. Other, 6 of 9. Email address, 7 of 9. Postal address, 8 of 9. Save contact, 9 of 9.
So you can see that they've used a very obvious structure here, so each box is clearly defined. It's the kind of box where you can just, you press OK on mobile and you just type the number in straight away. There's no worrying about whether you're in number mode or letter mode or whatever, like it was on the Nokias at times. Let's press back.
Add new contact, 2 of 6. Single button dialing, 3 of 6.
That one allows you to manage your speed dials.
Import contacts from file, 4 of 6.
That allows you to import contacts that you've saved somewhere else, like on your PC or another phone.
Backup contacts to file, 5 of 6.
Using that option, you can make a backup of the contacts on your phone to a memory card or the internal storage.
Contact settings, 6 of 6.
And the contact settings are where you can, sort how the contacts are being displayed and things like that. So before we demonstrate the apps, I'll actually let you hear what each voice sounds like, because that's a question we get asked a lot. So there are a total of 7 voices on here, 4 female and 3 male. So what I'll do is I'll go to the settings, which we'll get to by pressing back. Third-party GPS apps. Yeah, there's no Maps app on here at the moment, Ray. But sorry, the question for those of you who can't see the chat, Ray asked whether there were any plans for third-party apps to do with GPS. The Americans are testing one for navigation, but BlindShell have been quite quiet at the moment. They haven't really given us much of an update on whether maps will come to the phone in future. Hopefully it will.
Yeah.
But we just don't know how far the testing's got in the US yet.
Yeah, it is something that's been requested really highly,
Okay, let's go back into settings. So let's press back.
Contacts, 3 of 7.
Down to settings.
Settings, 5. Sounds, 1 of 10.
Right, so in sound settings, we've actually got a setting called voice output, which we'll find.
Profiles, 1 of 7. Volume, 2. Melodies, voice output. Speech rate, 1 of 8.
So in here, you can actually adjust quite a few voice settings. You can actually mute the voice entirely. You can adjust the speech rate. What I'm interested in is the dialect option.
Voice variant, 2 of 8.
Sorry, not dialect, variant, I apologize. So voice variant, let's press that.
Voice 6 selected, 6 of 7.
So this is one of the better sounding ones that we've had all the way through this, but there are others. This one, let's go to voice 7 and we'll go down to voice 1 from there.
Voice 7 not selected. Voice 7 selected.
That one is the standard Google voice that a lot of you may have been used to hearing. So I'll come out of the menu and go back into it.
Voice variant, 2 of 8. Language detection, 3 of 8. Incoming caller announcement, 4 of 8.
So that's what that voice sounds like. Let's go to the next one. We'll go to voice 1 next.
Voice variant, voice 7 selected. Voice 1 not selected, 1 of 7.
Let's press voice 1.
Voice 1 selected.
That one sounds, well, younger, high pitched. I don't know. Let's go back.
Voice variant, 2 of 8. Language detection, 3 of 8. Incoming caller announcement, 4 of 8.
This doesn't sound too bad. Let's go for the next voice.
Voice 1 selected. Voice 2 not selected.
Voice 2 selected.
So that one is the one that I used to use on here. That's a male voice. Let's go back.
Voice variant, 2 of 8. Language detection, 3 of 8. Incoming caller announcement, 4 of 8.
So that's what that sounds like. It sounds quite subtle, that one. So it's the Google male voice that used to be quite popular on Android. Let's go back up.
Voice variant. Voice 2 selected. Voice 3 not selected.
Voice 3 selected.
She sounds a bit chirpy. So yeah, it sounds very jolly. Let's go back.
Voice variant, 2 of 8.
A bit in your ear, that one, isn't it?
Language detection, 3 of 8. Incoming caller announcement, 4 of 8.
Sounds like my old headmistress. Anyway, let's go back on number 2.
Voice variant, 2 of 8.
Feel like I'm going to get told off. Let's go into that.
Voice 4 not select.
Voice 4 selected.
He sounds a bit depressed, but yeah, that's the 4th voice.
Voice variant, 2 of 8. Language detection, 3 of 8. Incoming caller announcement.
That's a
4
male
of 8.
voice. Let's go to number 5 now.
Voice 4 selected. Voice 5 not. Voice 5 selected.
He sounds a bit chirpy, doesn't he? He's a male chirpy version of the female one that we had earlier.
Voice variant,
2 of 8. Language detection. 3 of 8. Incoming call caller announcement. 4 of 8.
And then we're going to be back to voice 6, which is my favorite, which is the one that we had before. So let's go into
Voice
that.
Voice 2. Voice 5 select. Voice 6 not select.
Voice 6 selected.
Oh dear, right, that's back to normal now. That's one that I can put up with. So that one's quite easy to understand. You can also adjust the speech rate to make it a lot slower or a lot faster than it is now. Some people have it set on really insane speeds. We've tried to keep the speed at a manageable level. So what we'll do quickly is we'll demonstrate YouTube first of all, because a lot of the BlindShell apps, we're not going to show each one on screen, but the reason why we choose YouTube is because it's BlindShell's custom app for this phone. It's not like the standard YouTube app. And the layout of YouTube is very similar to a lot of the other apps that you'll find on the BlindShell. So they use the same methodology, same options. So for example, if you compare YouTube and internet radio, they both have very similar options. So let's go into YouTube. So to do that, we'll get back out of settings.
Voice variant. Voice out. Sounds. Settings. 5 of 7.
And let's go up to applications.
Applications. 4 of 7. Internet browser. 1 of 9.
So basically in here, what BlindShell have done is they've got the internet browser right at the top. I'm not sure why it's at the top, but that's the first app. And as you arrow down, you've got various different categories. So you've got tools, communications. I'll let the phone read the categories out and then we'll go into media, which is where YouTube is. So let's go down.
Tools. 2 of 9.
So that has stuff in like your calculator, your alarm clock, unit converter, you know, all the utilities that the phone has that we mentioned earlier are all in that menu.
Communication. 3 of 9.
That one contains things like WhatsApp, Telegram, email, that kind of thing. So things that you use to communicate.
Media. 4 of 9.
That contains things like your book reader, the internet radio, FM radio, YouTube, anything to do with media consumption like the music player, that will be found in that menu.
Books. 5 of 9.
Books, so that will contain things like Audible, the book player, any apps that you install will show up there.
Games. 6 of 9.
Self-explanatory.
Vision aids. 7 of 9.
Visual aids or vision aids, as they've put on here, actually contains things like Be My Eyes, Google Lookout, anything to do with vision. So they've got a magnifier on here as well, like a little magnifying glass. So you point your camera at something, it'll apparently make it bigger. I'm not sure how well that works. But again, all that stuff's in vision aids, sorry. I keep saying visual instead of vision. And Be My Eyes, Google Lookout, and the color detection is also in there as well.
Online. 8 of 9.
Online. So in here, we actually have programs like Amazon and, you know, things to do with online shopping. So that's where a lot of the stuff shows up for that.
App catalog. 9 of 9.
App catalog. So that's where you download new apps. So when they say, oh, there's a new version of Audible available for the phone, or for example, there's a new app to read, you know, BBC iPlayer, you know, go on BBC iPlayer or whatever, it'll show up in the app catalog and you can download it. So they don't all download to the phone by default. You can pick which apps you actually want. So let's go into YouTube and we'll demonstrate that briefly.
On Vision A, games, books, media. Audible. 1 of 10.
So let's go to YouTube, which is the one down at the bottom here.
YouTube. Search. 1 of 5.
Okay, so the layout of this app is extremely simple. So the top option is where you have search, and you can search for different videos on, you know, by keyword or by the channel that it's on. Okay, yeah, so the question from Jeff was, does that mean you can pay for a book download and play it? If you're subscribed to Audible, Jeff, then yes. So the Audible app does take a bit of getting used to. That app isn't designed by BlindShell because Audible won't let them. It's Audible's own app, so it can take a bit of getting used to. But if you buy the phone through us, we actually provide you with the extra resources. We've basically written our own guide for this phone, because what a lot of suppliers do, I'm not saying everybody does this, but a lot of people will actually just send you a manual, which is just translated from, you know, their local language, because the phone's made in the Czech Republic. So it's translated from their local language into English. And sometimes the terminology isn't clear. So we rewrite all our own guides for this phone. And when people buy from us, they get 3 hours of training as well. So what people tend to do is they tend to get used to the phone first. And when they need help with Audible, they actually use, you know, they ring us and give us a hand to get that installed. Once you've got it installed and signed in, then all your books show up there, your library shows up, and you can play the books and download them to the phone as well for offline listening as well. But it just takes a bit of getting used to the app. So on YouTube, BBC Sounds, the replay speed. Yeah, the player on BBC Sounds, Ray. In fairness, I don't think you can vary the playback speed. It would be a nice feature, wouldn't it? But even on the BBC website, you can't do that. So maybe somebody should get onto the BBC about that one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you can rewind and forward, but yeah, the playback speed. I'm just looking on the Android version on the touchscreen devices, and there's nothing on there either.
Easy Reader, that's another one that Jeff, that we have requested. A lot of people have been requesting Dolphin Easy Reader. They are bringing it to the BlindShell, we've been told, but we're just not sure when the app's ready for release. So I think they've got to go through internal testing first, then they'll hopefully deploy it.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So we'll just show people very briefly around the interface of YouTube. So the top option was search.
Search. History. 2 of 5.
History again is self-explanatory. So you press enter on that, and then it will show the videos that you've been playing recently, and you can resume those.
Favorites. 3 of 5.
Favorites. So if you've got a cooking recipe or a video that you've saved, as a favorite, that will show up here.
Categories. 4 of 5.
So you can actually browse by category. So, whether it's technology, automotive, whatever it is, cookery. So you can browse YouTube's category index.
Settings. 5 of 5.
Settings. Now, there is a unique thing that this phone offers that a lot of others don't. When you go into settings, you can turn the video off on screen. So if you want to save battery life and you've got no sight at all, and there's no point you playing the video on screen, you can turn it off completely. And that will just play you the audio for the video. And that'll do things like, save mobile data and things like that if you're out and about. The iTV player isn't on the Classic 2, Kate, because on Android, the iTV app leaves a bit to be desired for accessibility.
Yeah.
Again, people have requested it. I don't know if BlindShell are going to approve that one, though.
No.
Because
when I did testing with TalkBack on my Android touchscreen phone, a lot of the buttons and regions weren't labeled, and people would often get trapped when watching a video and things like that. So it is a bit tricky, but yeah. But we'll see how they get on with the accessibility in future.
Exactly. So I'll play a video in brief, then we'll show Google Lookout in action, and then we'll move on to questions. So
Yeah.
let's just go on history
Search.
here.
1 of
So
5.
let's go down to history.
History. How many sleeps till Christmas? At number blocks Christmas song.
Yep,
What history?
Sorry, that must
2 of 5.
have been from a Christmas presentation that we had.
Yeah.
How many sleeps till Christmas? Let's go to categories and try and browse for something.
Favorite category. Music. 1 of 7.
Yeah, let's try music.
Christian music. 1 of 14.
Let's pick a category here. Christian music.
Classical music. 2 of
Yeah,
14.
we'll pick classical. Let's try that.
Loading.
So hopefully
Frank
that should-
Edwards feat Moses Bliss. Emmanuel live in concert. Frank Edwards. Nicholas is just one man and his piano, or is he? Week 1 auditions. Britain's Got Talent 2016.
So
Britain's Got Talent. 2 of 16.
okay, so these are all Britain's Got Talent videos, and there's only 16 on screen, but you can make it display more. What I'll do is I'll very briefly start playback, and I'll stop it. So let's just start playing here. So we press select on the video,
Play from the beginning. 1 of 6.
just to show people the options. So you've got an option to play from the start. If we go down,
Search related videos. 2 of 6. Go to channel. 3 of 6.
go to channel means if you like this, the quality of this video, you want to see other people, what other people have, what the video creators uploaded. Each person has their own channel on YouTube. So you can actually go to that channel and you can see what else they've uploaded.
Save to favorites. 4 of 6.
Self-explanatory, that'll put it in your favorites list.
Video info. 5 of 6.
That's a description of what the video is.
Share link. 6 of 6.
Share link. If you want to send the link to somebody using WhatsApp or text or email or something, you can send it to them that way. So let's start playback.
Play. Loading.
And this might be a BGT talent thing that pops up. So let's just... Now, the weird thing is, I don't think that's transmitting on the... How odd is that? Hang on. Yeah, it's not transmitting it.
Hi. So
What it's done, that's the privacy.
1 of 8.
We've actually found something new that YouTube have integrated. So just to describe to people what's going on there, Zoom's doing there, Zoom knows that I'm playing a YouTube video and they've edited that out of this recording. It won't transmit the audio from this phone. It's quite clever how they've picked up on that, actually. But the video was playing on screen there. And if we pressed up and down arrows, we could have fast forwarded and rewound the video. So it's a very, very simple app. Now, one thing that people are very impressed with is Google Lookout on this phone. Now, just to make people aware, when you go into the Google Lookout app, the app starts giving you hints. So it's going to cut across me and Omar, really. So what we'll do first of all is we'll demonstrate how it recognizes products. So what Omar's going to do is go into the app, and we won't be talking. We won't be talking while this is actually taking place. And the reason for that is because the app will constantly give hints on when it's recognizing products. It will keep talking over me and Omar.
Yeah.
So we'll recognize a product first, and we'll show about 4 products on screen, and then we'll recognize some text as well. So,
Yeah. So just to make you aware of what I'm doing, because I won't be able to talk while the app's running, I'll be holding a few different products. So I've got some jars and some tins and Skittles, for example. I'm going to put that in front of the camera, and I'm going to try and locate the barcode. Now, the barcode will tell you the weight of the object as well as the accurate information. Sometimes, for example, it might say Skittles sour, and it might just be the normal Skittles, for example, that you're holding up. So it's always best to try and get the barcode so you get the most accurate information possible. So what you'll see is when I use the tins and the jars, for example, you'll have what I'll be doing is rotating it so you get the barcode on. So that's just briefly what I'll be doing. I'll stay quiet now while the app runs. So we'll just
Resume playback. Nicholas is just classical music. Music. Categories. YouTube. Media. 4 applications. 4 of 7.
Okay,
Internet browse tools. 2 communication. 3 media.
aids.
4 books. Games. Vision aids. Beepers. 1 color indicator. 2 of 7. Google Lookout. 3 of
There we
7.
go. So that's seven.
Okay on that. So it'll start talking straight away.
Lookout. Help. Change language. Sign in. Turn camera off. Take photo. Can't detect text. Food labels. 2 of 5.
That's it. Select on.
Can't detect food labels.
That's in food mode now. So hopefully, if we hold up something to the camera now, let's have a look what this item.
Product not recognized. Try Skittles fruit bag 45 grams.
Skittles fruit bag.
Skittles fruit bag 45 grams.
45 grams. I'm not sure why it's repeating it twice, but that's a bag of Skittles, 45 grams. Let's try the next one.
No product in view. Heinz baked beans 415 grams.
It's actually quite accurate. Heinz baked beans, 415 grams. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Let's try the
Let's
next
try
one.
it for
No product in
spreadable
view.
chocolate.
So this one should be spreadable chocolate.
Lindt hazelnut chocolate spread 200 grams.
There we go. Yeah, that got that one as well. Let's try. Let's see if it gets the
Try
fourth
it.
one.
No product in view.
So
Try a bottle of
just gonna
jam.
rotate
Tiptree. Raspberry seedless conserve 340 grams.
Fantastic. Let's try this bottle of water. This
Next.
one.
Three
I'm
of
just
Doesn't
going
have
to.
a barcode.
4
It
of
doesn't have a
5.
barcode. Okay,
Last
well, we can't
item.
use that one.
Okay,
Documents.
what I'll do now is
4
I'll
of
switch over to
5.
document mode.
Documents.
So this is how you scan a document, and it's quite clever because it will guide you.
Move device towards bottom right.
So what I'll do,
Move device right.
What Omar's doing is moving
Move
the camera.
right. Right. Hold still.
There we go. It's photographing it. So what Omar was doing there was he was actually moving the camera above the document. We've got a leaflet on the table, and we just moved the camera and we followed the instructions. So move right, move down, move up. So the phone tells you how close to have it, how far away the document should be from the camera.
yeah.
And then it takes a picture. It says hold steady.
So what I did, yeah, as soon as I held it steady, then it's taken me to this screen. So this screen's got a couple of buttons on it, and then there's a text box essentially that tells you all the information. So I'm going to scroll down to the text box.
Share. Delete item.
one more. There
Taira
we go.
Technology. Taira Technology is a company that provides products and services for visually impaired people. Whether you are starting out with technology or an experienced user, we can help. We pride ourselves on delivering the highest level of customer service.
Right. So yeah. So what that was basically doing was reading out the first half of our leaflet, which is the one that we've got displayed at the moment in front of the camera. So that function is especially useful for reading a post. You can read post with it. You can read signs, things like that. And any sort of text-based material. A lot of people are using this now instead of their more expensive reading machines because it's so accurate now. They've put a lot of effort into the accuracy. And you can share the results with people via email. You can save the results. So it's quite a reasonable app, really.
Yeah. So
And the app does have other modes. It's got a currency mode for recognizing banknotes. It's
Yeah.
got a mode for recognizing short text. So, for example, if you've got a message on your TV screen or your PC screen or whatever that you don't know what it says, you can go onto text mode, and then you can move your camera around slowly. And what it will do then is it will read any text that's in view of that camera automatically. You don't need to take a picture. It will just do it in real time. And it also describes scenes to you as well. So that's a summary.
Brilliant.
And just before we go over to questions.
Yeah, just before we go over to questions, I'm going to very, very, very quickly explain what comes with the BlindShell and some of the extras that are available.
Sorry, what was that?
So, sorry, is it
we had one in chat there.
So does it read handwriting?
Handwriting, yes, it does. So I've not tested it for accuracy, but we have had reports from people that have successfully read handwritten birthday cards. Obviously, it depends with any of these apps how accurate the person's handwriting is. If somebody's scribbling, you'll get far, worse results.
Yeah. So every BlindShell Classic 2 comes with this charging cradle. And so on the back of the charging cradle, you have a USB port here. So that is where the USB charging wire goes into.
Yeah, that's the USB-C charging wire. You don't have to use a cradle.
No,
it's just something they've supplied.
It's just handy to have. And then if I zoom in here for those people who can see, it's just a port that comes out of the unit and it just clips on. So I haven't got that connected to anything at the moment. The other thing that comes with the unit is the NFC tag. So it's essentially a sticker that you can use, a bit like the RNIB labeler that you can buy to label.
The pen friend, So the pen friend tags. So these are round sticky tags. You stick them on an item, and there's an app on the BlindShell called NFC tagging.
Yeah.
So you go in there and you record a message against each tag. So you can just hold the phone against the tag, and then your voice will be played back. It'll say, right, well, this is I don't know, a bag of flour or whatever you choose to label. Or this is a certain dial on your cooker. Yeah,
it's just to label things around the house. You can touch your phone, the back of your phone to it, and it'll announce what it is. You can also buy separately the BlindShell Beep, which is an accessory that you can clip onto your keys or your wallet, and essentially helps you to find your personal objects or anything that's attached to the BlindShell Beep.
So the key, it's like a keyring. It's a 1 by 1 inch keyring. It's a quite small. It's like a small square tile, and Google Lookout. Yes, I believe you can save scan data, Ray. Yeah, you can actually export it and save it as a note. Yeah. So in terms of the BlindShell Beep, it's it's about 1 inch by 1 inch, and it's quite a nice compact tile that you attach onto a keyring, or you can attach it to anything really. It's got a hole in one side with a ring attached to it, so you can attach it onto keys, wallets, handbags, whatever it might be. And then the BlindShell has an app on there, and as long as you're in range of the item, it'll ring it for you. It'll send a message to that the beeping device, and the device will ring. Again, it depends on how powerful your hearing is, whether you can hear where the device is. It's not especially loud, if we're being honest, but you can hear it. It makes a high pitched enough sound. If we try and demonstrate that on Zoom will actually block out the audio because it's high pitched. Zoom starts filtering it, so we can't demonstrate one of those, unfortunately.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. Some of the final things I want to leave you with is that the BlindShell costs $419.99, so just under £420 until the end of this month. BlindShell have increased the price by about £20, so the revised price from August onwards, will be $439.99 through us. And some things that are specific to us as the resellers of the phone that you can only get through us is the free 32 GB memory card inclusive standard. We also provide you with an extended 2 years warranty instead of the 1. You also get the guide in a format of your choice, so Braille, audio CD, USB memory stick, email, etc., or in large print, obviously. And you also have the support available. So you have 3 hours of support on arrival if you purchase the phone through us. The only minor things that I can mention as well is the phone comes with some cases as well. So this on screen is the TPU case, and this is the flip case. But I understand that in the interest of time, I won't go over them in detail. One is a flip case that covers the front, back, and sides of the phone, whereas the TPU case covers the sides and the back and leaves the front exposed. So
yeah, so that people find that last one useful if they want easy access to the phone quickly. You know, some people don't like the case that opens like a book. So again, it's just down to personal preference. The TPU one is cheaper at $14.99, and the flip one is $29.99. So yeah, that brings us nicely to the end of the BlindShell spiel, really.
did we mention the BlindShell beep cost as well?
Yeah, sorry, the BlindShell beep costs $29.99 per keyring.
Yeah.
But they do discounts. If you offer, if you buy more than one, for example, you can buy two for $49.99 and
three
three
for
for
$59.
$59.99.
Yeah.
So they have kept pricing quite reasonable on those.
Fantastic. So thank you very much for listening. I'll leave you with our details, and then we'll go to the question and answer session at the end here. So again, our company name is Taira Technology. Taira is spelt T for Tango, A for Alpha, I for India, R for Romeo, A for Alpha, and it's the word technology. Our telephone number is 0343 289 7501. I'll say that one more time. 0343 289 7501. Our website is tairatech.com, TAIRATECH.com. You can email us at contact@tairatech.com.
Yeah, so that's singular, CONTACT at tairatech.com.
And you can find us at Taira Technology on Facebook and Twitter. So thank you very much indeed for listening. I know we've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, so the first one's from Kate, I think, in chat.
It says, can I keep them with the same mobile number from the C5 phone?
Yes, you can. So the C5 takes what's known as a standard size SIM card. They're about the size of a postage stamp. So the BlindShell takes a micro SIM cards. SIM cards come in three different sizes: standard, micro, and nano. The iPhone takes a nano SIM card. It's the smallest one of the lot. The next size up is the micro SIM, which is what the BlindShell takes. So if you feel a SIM card, you'll have a thin rim that goes around the edge to make it into the micro size. And the standard size one is the postage stamp size. So they all come in three different sizes. So the BlindShell takes the medium size of SIM. So as long as your SIM card is a triple SIM, which is what they call them these days, then you should be fine. If you're not sure whether you've got one of those, or if you want to request one from your provider, a lot of providers will send you a new SIM out, without charging you, and then that way you can keep the same number,
yeah.
But you can just put that SIM card into the BlindShell when it arrives.
Fantastic. So thank you very much for that, Kate. Now I'm going to move over to people who've got their hands raised. So the first person who raised their hand was Lenita. So if you want to take yourself off mute or ask the question in chat, feel free to do so now. Also, feel free to unmute anybody else and just join the conversation. Hello, Lenita, you're right.
Hi there. Yeah, I had two completely unrelated questions. The first one is, in order to use Google Lookout and the browser, do you need to have a Google account?
No. So Chrome will prompt you to sign in. Chrome is the base browser on this phone.
Right.
It will say you can sign into a Google account to import bookmarks and things. You don't need to do that. Just press skip and it will avoid that. Google Lookout, although they have got an option to sign in, with this phone, it doesn't have Google Play services, which is the technology that Google use to access things like the Play Store and things like that. So even if you do try and sign in, you might get an error.
Okay.
So in short, you don't need anything like that.
Right. And the second question is, I understand that you can plug a standard USB keyboard into the phone. I mean, you wouldn't obviously carry it around, but if you were to wanting to put in your contacts from your other phone or something like that, you can do that.
It would be a lot quicker to type, yeah. So yeah, that definitely works. They've recently implemented support for that via the USB port, and you can also use Bluetooth keyboards as well.
Right. But obviously not Braille keyboards yet, hopefully.
Not Braille displays yet, no. Hopefully that is coming in the future.
Yeah, I think that was all that I had. Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you. So I'll just lower your hand. I think the next person who asked for a question was Raymond. Ray, if you want to unmute.
Yeah. Yes, regarding training and support, presumably you can do this via remote access.
Yeah, so on the phone, we can't control the phone, but what we can do is get together with you on Zoom or, via phone, whichever is convenient, really.
Yeah.
And because the phone's so easy to use, a lot of people are just comfortable with us, providing instructions either audibly or even, if somebody sends us an email, we can write you an email back and say, look, this is what you
Yeah.
need to do. And there's no limit on that support, really. You can use it anytime you like. You can use that allocation, within the first month, within the first year. It doesn't really matter. People tend to ring us when they've got questions, and we're more than happy to answer them. Even if somebody goes over the time, we're not too strict on the time allowance. It's just obviously if somebody goes over significantly, then we have to start charging.
Yeah, I mean,
the time.
the main objective with that is just to let people know that the support exists. You've got that amount of time there. So, but yeah, any support that we do it's mainly over the phone, 95% over the phone.
Well,
I don't know if that answers your question, Ray.
Yeah. And presumably, Mo, there's the option to have it recorded as you do with computer training.
Yes, yeah. So all
I
the calls.
found that extra resource invaluable.
Fantastic. Yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier.
All the time you're doing your training, whether probably for an hour or 2 hours at most. Nobody can remember everything, but it's nice to know that you've got that safety net of the recording to listen
Absolutely.
back at your
Exactly.
leisure.
Yeah, I mean, you can request those recordings anytime. We can send you an email copy as an email attachment, and people find that very useful. So all calls are recorded, and it's a very useful resource.
Yeah, I mean, in the past as well, we can also send you Braille instructions as well. So we're very, very flexible.
Yeah, there might be an extra charge possibly if we have to transcribe them manually, but
yeah, it's just a bit of a
doesn't cost too
postage.
much, really,
Yeah, fantastic. Did that answer your question, Ray?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'll just lower your hand. I think John O'Donoghue had a question. If you want to unmute, John. Hello.
Hang on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
My question is, well, I am a BlindShell user, unlike probably some of you. But my question is, when you put your contacts, it downloads onto the card, onto the SD card. What about if I take photos on the phone? Can I do they get saved like contacts?
So the pictures, do they get saved like the contacts? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are stored. I don't know whether they're stored internally on the memory card.
Yeah. So what happens is you get a folder for photos, and they will get stored usually on the memory card. And there's an app on the BlindShell called Images that you go into to actually view them.
Yeah.
And you can plug it into your PC to pull the images off there as well.
Yeah. But what I'm really asking is, for instance, I have a problem with my BlindShell and I want to send it back to you, but I have another phone and I take out the SIM and the SD card, and like I did before, and I put it back in and the picture wasn't there.
Okay. It wasn't there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where the picture was saved in the first place, and it also depends on if we had to format the memory card, while it was here.
No, I had the memory.
Oh, you had the
here.
memory card
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think again it depends on what we did to the phone while it was here. For example, if we had to reset it in order to solve your problem, John, then the picture wouldn't have been there. So I'm not sure whether you bought the phone through us.
No, what I mean is, like, I take the SIM and the SD card out here and put it into my other phone while you're having my one, and then when you send it back to me and I put everything back in to the BlindShell, my photo that I took out should be still on the card, shouldn't it?
Oh, right. I see what you mean. What it is, it's some pictures are stored to the internal memory. I think there may be a setting. We may have to get back to you on that just to double check.
Because it's something I've been asking quite a few people, and nobody seems to be giving me a tough answer to the question.
The best thing to do might be to send it directly to BlindShell, because they are very responsive, John. Have you tried that approach yet?
No, not yet. I've done it with other things, doing with the apps. I'm not going to go into it here. And I've got direct within 2 days of sending the email. I've had a reply back. I will say that they are very, very good, responsive that way.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, they're the best people to give you the response, really, because it is quite a technical question. I wouldn't want to.
No, I was just wondering that you
really
had
Yeah,
played with it like you have with everything else.
Yeah.
yeah. In our experience, we thought it was stored to the SD card, but we may be wrong on
That's
that.
why our phone seems to be
Yeah.
putting them at the moment. But I haven't experimented with, getting it to go to internal storage. So
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how to force it to do that, or
Yeah.
if it does that sometimes and not others.
I think what may have happened is the picture that you had was stored on the internal, and the internal storage may have been wiped as part of GDPR and security.
Yeah.
So that's what may have happened there. But yeah, just feel free to give us a call.
So it doesn't matter if I go in, like it says where you're in the contact settings where it says backup file. It won't. Will it back that to the card?
No, because that's to do with the contacts.
It's just to do with the contacts.
Yeah.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah.
So that will just back up all the contacts you've got saved
And nothing else.
to the VCF file on the memory card. Nothing else at all. There are options. There's an option that you can go into. If you go into settings and then about, you can go to the service menu.
Yeah.
And in the service menu, there's an option to back up everything on your phone to your SD card. So if you want to make a full backup, that might be worth doing it that way.
I didn't look at that one now, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that might be worth doing. Did you have any other questions, John?
No, that's I could, but I'd be here all night. But we won't.
Okay. No
Feel free
worries.
to just give us a ring.
Yeah, we'll have
other questions.
No
not a
props.
problem.
Thanks, both.
No
No worries. Thanks,
No
John.
Thank you.
Kate's asking whether she needs to be online to send a text. No, you
No.
don't, Kate. So that doesn't require internet access at all to make calls and send texts.
As long as you've got a SIM card in the phone and you've got signal, then you should be able to send and receive text messages. So there's no need for the internet. We have still got quite a few people on the call, so
we'll go through in order. It's fine.
is there anybody else who's got any other questions? You can press Control H on your computer.
Sorry,
Alt H. Sorry.
Alt H goes into the chat, and Alt Y raises your hand and lowers it.
Sorry, yeah, I got lost mixed up. To raise your hand, same with iOS, Android, or just feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, just unmute.
That's easier.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if you can't access the functions on Zoom, you can give us a call. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions. But I'll ask one last time. Are there any other questions that people have got? I'll give people a bit of time to unmute.
I was just wondering, what does the language detection function mean? Does that mean it can speak? I mean, it can receive more than one language.
Yeah. So what that does is, when you're reading an email, and let's say somebody sends an email to you in French, it will switch to a French dialect to read that email back to you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fantastic.
Do people read whole books with this Google Looker?
Apparently so.
Really?
With that voice though, text to speech voices. I've always found audiobooks to be a lot more natural. Obviously because they are, but my personal preference isn't really text to speech to read stuff. I mean, the voices are improving. I mean, if you listen to the new Microsoft voices, they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
you can't tell that they're not human. On Windows 11, the voices are actually in Microsoft Edge, and I'm very jealous of anybody who's got those voices regularly, because you can't use them with a screen reader, but they're absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I've got Derek Child who's raised their hand. So if you want to unmute Derek, or if you want to put a question in the chat, you can answer your question. And while Derek's doing that, did anybody else have any other questions? I noticed Alice, you've unmuted. Did you have any questions? Oh, sorry, not Alice. Sorry, it was Kate.
Yes. What other apps, which you didn't mention, that are in the categories, have become available on the Classic?
Okay, so BlindShell do have a lot. The reason why we didn't mention them is because some of them are actually aimed at other countries and other language areas. So, for example, you've got Bard, which is used by Americans to access the Bard library for the blind. You've got Sero, which again is an app used by Americans for their Taira service in America. That's American content on that service, really. I mean, you can download it and sign into it. It's not, they don't restrict you. But it's just that there's a lot of American-oriented content on there. So you've got described films and things like that. But, again, a lot of the UK stuff is mainly to do with Audible, BBC Sounds, Amazon, Google Looker. That's what we tend to concentrate on. But the app catalog does have things. For example, there's an app to control ARX headsets. which is a product that's sold by certain suppliers for the blind. I've never used one, so I've got no idea how the app works, and I'm not really prepared to buy the headset for over $1,000. But if you've got one, then
more.
We're not in that sort of innings at the moment, but
no.
yeah.
So much for disposable income. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
But
There
yeah,
is a
it's got
fitness
about
app as well.
66.
There's a fitness app as well, isn't there? A step counter.
There's
I
a
think I
step
saw in
counter.
the photo.
Yeah, it counts
Yeah.
how many steps you've done.
yeah.
And a
What else do we
metronome and
have?
a
Metronome, step counter. What else do we have? Guitar tuner on there as well, I think.
Yeah, there's lots of gimmicky things, Hangman and memory games as well.
One called Mau Mau. I don't know what
Yeah.
that game is, but
I'm not sure.
It would be nice if they put a couple of the travel thingy bobs in
it
English
would be,
on.
wouldn't it? Yeah, I mean,
And
bus
the G- and the
timetables, we
GV
requested that. Rail
Yeah.
times, again, that's been requested.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
does need
nice
to
if
be
you
improved.
can speak Czechoslovakia or Switzerland, you just got the sorters.
Well, Swiss bus timetable would be useful if I
Yeah.
was taking a holiday.
Yeah.
especially when there's a tube strike. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, at least the trains are actually moving in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just come back to the people because a few people got their hands raised. So, Derek, did you manage to get unmuted, or if you want to ask a question in the chat, feel free to do so. I've sent you a request to
I
unmute.
think he's still on mute, isn't he?
Yeah, so we can't.
Tell him all day.
Sorry. But in the meantime, what I'll do while Derek's just unmuting, Tina's raised her hand. If you want to unmute, Tina, there we go. Did you have a question?
Yeah, am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Tina. What you said? People are going to ask what colour it is.
Yeah, so it's
Really
comes in
fun.
black or red.
Black or red? Okay. And what was the other question? If, for example, I've got Amazon Music, Prime, can I connect it? Can I connect it to that?
You could. I mean, the easiest way to listen to it on this phone is via the Amazon Alexa app. They have got Amazon Alexa on here. Again, the reason why we haven't mentioned it too much is because the app takes a bit of getting used to. So it is accessible for the most part, but it takes about half an hour to get set up.
Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally how long it takes. Because Amazon make you accept all kinds of terms and conditions and things. But once you've got it on there, you can use your phone like an Alexa.
Well, because I've got can you not say the actual name because she might respond?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to set them all up now.
Yeah.
Well, I want Alexa influx. So sorry, say that again. Hey, lady. Sorry, hey, lady.
Don't worry about it.
The thing.
Well, I've got Lady A and the Google, so
Fair enough. Better not say anything like that.
No.
That's it.
Yeah, and I've got what your question is now.
All right.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you both, and
yeah, nice to put a voice to the name, eh?
Yeah,
because I see a lot of you on list, and I wasn't sure how to pronounce Lenita, for example. And it's nice to know. I hope I'm saying it right, by the way.
Yeah,
but,
you are.
We see a lot of you on list, actually. So
yeah. I
nice
didn't know that you existed, so I bought the phone from someone else. I'm really sorry.
No, sorry. Don't feel too guilty.
Can I give you a tip? Because you're only telling people one option of getting in contact with you if they want to raise their hand. On Android, you have to press the more button.
Okay.
We weren't sure because sometimes on longer screens it's along the bottom. But we'll mention that in future. So on the more, there's an option to raise your hand. Is there?
I think because here we've got an Android phone.
I'm on a Braille Note Touch Plus.
Right. You see, here we've got a phone which has a 6.5-inch screen.
Yeah.
And what Zoom's done is it's actually resized itself to fit the screen. And it's brought all the buttons up by default. So
well, remember that for future. Thank you for that.
Many thanks,
but I mean, it's handy if you want to know what the different options are. Ask someone from the Brailleist Foundation. They'll probably tell you.
Yeah, they're a fantastic team, aren't they?
Yeah, Ben's
they are. Yeah. I'm a member of the book club, and I go to the Braille bar and the masterclasses that they do, and they're brilliant.
Fantastic. No worries. I'm just going to come to Ray.
I'll probably give you a ring then.
Fantastic, Greg. It was a ring.
I'm seriously thinking of getting one.
Well, now's the time. You've got 2 weeks.
Just one more quickie.
Yeah, sure.
If you've got a Mano SIM, can you put the other bit on it to make it into a normal microphone?
Yes, you can. I should have mentioned that actually.
can.
I'm surprised that I didn't. What we can do, we actually supply you with a SIM card adapter. So nano to micro. We actually print the 3D print the brackets ourselves for the cards.
Yeah,
so we
but I
actually
need to keep the
do them
same
in-house.
number.
So we'll keep the
Yeah,
same
with the
number. So
same
what
number.
what I was coming to was when you take the SIM card out of your iPhone and you put it
Yeah.
into this bracket and slide it into the phone, that will carry your number across with it. So you can keep the same
will.
number.
Yeah,
It will, yeah.
Okay.
fantastic.
All
Did you
right,
have
and
any
I'll
other-
give you a ring sometime because I'm seriously thinking of having that instead of my iPhone because I'm
Fantastic.
getting on that well with it.
And we can also, if people want us to as well, we can also transfer contacts across from
Yeah.
any of your old phones, your Nokia phones, your iPhones. We can transfer the contacts, transfer the SIM, and set the phone up for you, and then send both phones back to you. So, you know,
you could
again,
do that,
all
couldn't
this.
you?
Yeah, we take care
And
of
would
all.
I have to have special packaging for it?
Well, if you're sending it from your end, we do recommend using packaging to pad it. Yeah, so
Mm.
you know, just so it doesn't get damaged in the post.
Yeah,
Yeah, what is
Um,
it? Bubble wrap or something like
Yeah,
that?
a
or-
lot of people just
Yeah.
use bubble wrap on a jiffy bag, don't they?
yeah,
Oh yeah, I've got jiffy
Um,
bags and bubble wrap, so I can sort
Fantastic.
that out.
yeah.
Ensure it and get a
Bubble
proof
wrap.
of posting as well.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Send it using recorded
And-
delivery.
By the way, if you do send stuff by post, like braille instructions, you can put articles for the blind on it and it won't cost you anything.
I know it's fantastic.
Yeah.
We've even got a program to print on address labels, but that's something else. Maybe we can also do a masterclass on that for you, how to print address labels. Where you know, there's plenty of stuff we can do for TAVIP. So please keep us in mind, Jeff and Julian, if they're both still
Yeah, I
here.
just thought I'd tell you that because it was for visually impaired people. You can
Mm,
specifically design, you
good.
can use articles for the blind.
Yeah, if you
But you will
use-
have to find out how much they
of course.
how much you can do. The RNIB know more about that than I do, but if
Yeah.
you contact them on that, they can advise you on that.
We can advise you on that.
Yeah.
When you ring us up, we'll recommend the best service to use, you know, how heavy the parcel is, and we'll advise you which one to use. And you can also double check with the post office as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic. But please
so
do
you
get
need to
in
check
touch,
up on that. But anyway, I just thought
Yeah.
I'd
We will
mention
do
it.
it. Okay.
No worries. Well, we look forward to hearing from you, Tina. It's lovely talking to you.
Okay, so Ray's next,
So-
I think.
I think Ray had a question. If you
Yeah,
don't
Sorry,
mind.
Ray.
Couple of quick ones. The talking newspaper app. Presumably that's local talking newspapers, and if you want the national papers, you've got to pay for that through the Talking Newspaper Federation.
Do you know, that's a very good question. They haven't specified, I don't think, unless it says in the description. It just says local and national talking newspapers. I don't know what that actually encompasses, whether it will actually encompass things like, you know, Liverpool Echo or, you know, the
Yeah.
Times, any of the national ones. I mean, you can
Can
still
I-
get those through RNIB.
I know in the days
I
of
chip in
Sonata.
there?
Yeah,
Sorry,
on,
go
Kate.
ahead.
Yeah.
Can I chip in because I've got the Talking News on my iPhone and
Hmm.
it is local. It's just
Okay.
local
So it's not
papers.
national. They
And
shouldn't be saying
Not
national, should they,
national.
really?
can I tip in there as well because I'm using it on the BlindShell? It gives you all the local ones,
Yeah.
and then when you go on to the national bit of it, all it's given at the moment is info sound and
Mm.
two others, and I can't think of the names off the top of my
So
head.
it's not strictly correct, then, is
No.
it really?
Mm.
I think it's a case of if
Mm,
it's kicked to your area, or like that
yeah.
gentleman said, that you might have to pay. It'd be something to put forward to the Talking Federation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That was the
You can-
what,
you
what
can-
John has said. That was what applied with the Sonata and Sonata Plus.
Yeah.
Local
Yeah, you
TMs
can get all
available.
the local,
the nationals,
local papers.
You had to. There was an
for
annual
different
subscription.
areas.
Yeah.
Because it was something I actually forgot when I was standing at the stall in Birmingham at the site village on Monday. I forgot to ask her that question because I was
Yeah.
looking to see why I didn't have a local talking newspaper, and she was
Yeah.
gonna find out and get back to me. But that was one of the questions that I should have asked. What does it, you know, to get
Okay.
others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough.
My second question, Mo and Omar, is regarding when you're listening to podcasts, newspapers, books, etc. Well, anything speech, which isn't a live stream. Is it possible to increase and decrease the speed?
I don't think it is at the moment, to be honest. I mean, even the
On
podcast,
none
I
of
think you can
those.
just play at normal speed. You know, even with YouTube, YouTube do have the facility of increasing the speed natively, you know, on
Yeah.
their website. BlindShell just didn't implement that, so
No.
we need to speak to them about that. Really,
Yeah, I empathise with you completely because I can't listen to a lot of things on normal speed.
there are some very boring podcasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I listen to it on double speed these days, just to get to the point of a lot of these episodes. But
I'm so surprised at that because
Yeah.
variable speed has been around since the 80s, the day of the
Exactly.
cassette.
yeah,
You know,
I
and
think-
we're 40 years on, and it's not a
Yeah.
standard feature.
yeah,
I just do not get that.
yeah,
Omar,
yes. Hello?
yes, it's Kate. Does In Touch come as a separate app? Because I've seen someone use the BlindShell and they seem to be able to get to In Touch quick.
Not that we've seen.
No.
It's not in the catalogue at the
No.
moment. What they're probably
No.
doing is either accessing the page on the internet or going to it via BBC Sounds.
Mm.
So if they're going into BBC Sounds, what Sounds often does is it remembers what you were listening to, Kate. So if they had In Touch really, that's the thing they were
Probably in
listening to last,
favourites.
it'll be on the main page.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
but yeah,
Thank you.
coming back to double speed, Ray, we'll
Yeah.
mention that to them. Yeah,
I was just going to ask you, could you push them on that, because it really is important.
We certainly will.
You know,
Yeah.
it's,
Certainly will.
if you're listening to audio, and obviously for music you wouldn't want it, but for speech, it's the nearest we get as blind people to speed reading.
Yeah, exactly.
Or speed listening, if you want to be pedantic
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah,
I'm
Omar,
with you on that. Yeah,
Omar and I have both been using that feature on different apps over the years.
Mm.
and it's sorely
And
missed
it's-
when you don't have it.
it is, it is.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I'll mention that.
Well, how many of us use our screen reader at the minimum speed? We all
Yeah,
speed it up.
exactly. Yeah,
No,
So-
I do. I can't use it. I can't use it the way you use it.
No.
Yeah, but you're a nice leisurely person, John, aren't you? You're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but John, you don't just go from rate 60 up to 110. You do it by
No.
small increments.
Even at that, I
Well,
couldn't still hack it.
Oh,
I'm on 20. I'm on 20%.
no, I
Have to
think
leave
if
it
you
to the youngsters. Yeah,
if you increase that to 22 and then to 24, I think you could be up to 30 within 12 months. Definitely.
Sorry, it's Tina again.
Hello, Tina.
Does the phone vibrate?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It does, because I'm hard of hearing as well, you see. So that's why I was asking, because you
It
said
does,
it's got a
yeah.
hard of hearing facility on it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So the earpiece is extra loud, and so
Yeah.
is the speaker. So it's the kind of
Yeah.
thing you can hear from across the room. If you've got it set
Yeah.
on full. So it's got quite a decent size speaker.
Oh, you can
Yeah, well,
definitely hear it.
yeah.
That's good, because I've lost 50% of my hearing. If I've
Oh no! I'm
not got
sorry.
my hearing aids in, then I don't hear much, you see.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, it's quite a loud phone.
Mm.
That's good.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
It also supports T3. I think it's called T3, isn't it? The
Yeah.
communication for hearing aids.
Yeah, I'll be honest, we've never had chance to connect one up, so we don't know the exact process. In fairness,
So,
It's
so
but
do
they
you-
say,
compatible with
What's it-
Bluetooth hearing aids.
Mm.
yeah, it's you can connect a Bluetooth device to it, and you can listen to it through that. So a lot of Bluetooth hearing aids have that.
It's
facility.
it's called a loop system. That's what it's called.
No,
Bluetooth
no, no, that's
system.
not that's not
To
for
hearing aids.
Bluetooth. I think it's got something different.
Yeah, so when you open the Bluetooth options on the phone, you'll
Mhm.
see your hearing aid pop up. But obviously, when you go into a shop, you'll have your loop system kick in then. I'm not sure whether the loop system will work
Yeah, but
on these phones.
Bluetooth hearing aids don't need a loop system.
Of
No,
course,
yeah,
because
that's it.
that's direct audio, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you get back to us on the type of hearing aid you got, we'll ask BlindShell and see if it's compatible.
Yeah, I mean, BlindShell do seem quite optimistic. They have said in the past we do support them. So
Yeah. Okay,
fantastic.
thanks.
No worries.
What's the
Sarah?
support like with BlindShell if you phone BlindShell direct?
I probably wouldn't ring them because of the call charges, but you can ring the Czech Republic if you like. They're very responsive to emails. They do speak English. You can ring the support line,
Yeah.
and you can ask them questions. 9 times out of 10, the reason why I'm saying 9 times out of 10 is because sometimes you might get somebody who might, answer the phone in, obviously their local language. But a lot of them do know how to speak English,
Yeah.
and they should be able to answer queries.
Yeah, the chap who does a lot of the development work is called Honza, and he's very, very good. So if you do get through to them and you want to talk to somebody technical, he could be the chap to talk to.
Can you say his name again,
It's
please?
an
His
expensive
name-
call.
Yeah,
It's an
It could be an
it
expensive.
could be an
call.
expensive call. So
Is
his name is.
it an 0870 number.
No. Sorry. So the phone's made in the Czech Republic, Kate. So it's they're not based here, you see. So you're calling a different country completely. That's why, for local support, if you buy the phone from us, for example, you'd call us in the first instance or send an email across to BlindShell. They are very responsive.
Yeah. But in answer to your question, because I think someone asked for the name, the person who handles development, his name is Honza,
Honza.
Honza.
Yeah, Honza.
So he's quite a good chap to get in touch with.
They all are, really.
Yeah.
When you email the support team, your email just gets routed to the best person. They just respond. So
yeah, they are very good.
They're a very good team. Though at least they are responsive. We've had other companies where they haven't been as responsive.
Yeah.
So.
Fantastic. So we'll start closing out the presentation. If there aren't any other questions.
I assume you can set different ringtones and voice text message tones and that sort of thing.
That's right. Yeah. So you've got 101 to choose from.
Yeah.
Okay, that should be just about enough. Yeah.
Yeah, you can set your own as well if there's not a quite. I mean, someone had a match of the day telephone ringtone that we set for them as well. So if you let us know on purchase, we can sort that out.
How do you get them?
Well, we have to download them off the internet and put them on the phone. But if you let us know if there's something specific that you want as the ringtone, then we can do that for you before dispatch.
So you can put your own on.
101 would be enough.
They're just MP3 files.
Yeah.
Say that again, Mark.
Sorry, I was just going to say you can actually put your own on there anyway. There's a folder on there called ringtones and one called notifications. So you just copy whatever file you want in there, for the ringtone.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, the phone will pick it up.
Yeah,
it's display.
It's quite good that way. But yeah, fantastic. So if there are no other questions, I'm just going to check the chat one last time. Yeah, no, there's no other questions. So thank you very much again, guys, for attending today.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And like we said, feel free to just give us a ring and have a chat about the phone or anything tech related in general. We're always up for better and natter. We'll send some information on list for those people who want a written version as well of our contact details.
That's brilliant.
And
Thank you so much.
things. And
very welcome indeed.
We'll
so now I'm excited that it's coming tomorrow.
Exactly. Well, the very best luck in learning it, and I'm sure there are plenty of people on the TAVIP group as well who can answer any questions that you've got. Or that's a fantastic resource. They are
very, very good. Yeah.
Right. Nice to see you.
Thanks for attending.
Likewise.
Take care.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, folks. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.